26 seconds. Not a long period of time. 26 seconds. The average amount of time it takes to take a selfie and post it to Instagram. Not even the length of a commercial while watching TV. But how frightening of reality that every 26 seconds around the world, someone is abducted into trafficking. There, it happened again. Another human being has just been forced into a life of slavery. By the time I'm done speaking, another 23 will be forced into this awful trade. Their lives being changed forever. They will never be the same. Whether it's trauma from abuse or harassment to criminal charges that will never be dropped. You, me, any of us, it's not happening in some country on the other side of the globe. It's right here, in our own backyards, and it's our responsibility to take an active role in ending local sex trafficking. First, I will use facts to prove the legitimacy of this issue. Then I will share personal stories of victims of sex trafficking, and through these propose a solution to this growing threat. Many of those abducted are lured under false pretenses or promises of a better life. Every year, human traffickers generate an average of $32 billion in profits by victimizing millions of people around the world. In our homeland, the United States of America, human trafficking is the fastest growing criminal industry. The facts are staggering. The International Labor Organization estimates that there are 20.9 million people enslaved in our world today. 8 in 10 of these victims are sex trafficked. The most common form of modern-day slavery is sex trafficking. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security defines sex trafficking as the use of force, fraud, or coercion to lure victims and force them into sexual exploitation. DoSomething.org states that between 14,500 and 17,500 people are sex trafficked in the U.S. each year. The average age of these victims is just 13 years old. 1 in 3 teens on the street will be lured into prostitution within 48 hours of leaving their home. Compare this reality. 150 years ago, in the mid-1800s, it would have cost the equivalent of $40,000 to purchase a slave. Today, you can purchase a person for as little as $40. $40. In 150 years, the price is 1,000 times less. Our actions should make slavery impossible, not less costly. Perpetrators prey on vulnerable girls. This includes those who have dropped out of school, are in the foster system, or have run away from home. But then there are those who have been shielded and don't know the warning signs. And that's what happened to Teresa. When Teresa Flores was just 15 years old, living in Beverly Hills, Michigan, a middle-class suburb of Detroit. There she attended girls' high school where she met Daniel. One day after class, he asked if she wanted to hang out. Nothing seemed threatening, just 2 friends hanging out. But it was not just that. Daniel raped Teresa that night. The next day got worse. At school, Daniel told Teresa his cousins had taken pictures of him raping her, and if she did not go and have sex with them, they would show the photos to everyone at school and her family. Teresa knew the results of these photos would be catastrophic, so she felt she had no choice to comply. That night, Daniel's cousins raped her. But even worse, she learned she would have to start working for them as her sex slave till she earned the rights to the photos. Our society's perception of sex slavery is often incorrect. Most people who are sex trafficked live in their own home. On the outside, Teresa's life looked unchanged. She still attended school and still ran track. So we might think it's so easy for them to escape, but it's not. They are every bit as trapped as someone locked behind bars, brainwashed into thinking that they can't kill a soul, and if they do, no one will believe them. In Teresa's case, they convinced her. No one would believe her. They would show the photos to the world, and they would hurt the one she loved most. The psychological torture is inconceivable to us, but when they saw her approached by the police, they warned her bad things would happen as a consequence. Teresa went home one day to find her dog missing. The next day, she received a phone call. Listening, she heard a dog bark and a gunshot. Fear controlled her, and her traffickers manipulated this into every waking moment of her life. At least 4 nights a week, the 2 a.m. phone call pulled her out of bed. It was Danielle, telling her it's time to go to work. Trafficking ultimately forces women into prostitution, yet sometimes law enforcement can't help. After a night of being drugged, tied to bedposts, beaten and raped by countless men, Teresa awoke alone after who knows how many hours. Stumbling outside, the police eventually found her. It scared her of the threats and the consequences. Teresa still wouldn't talk. So they brought her back to her parents. This story is not unique. It's not the exception. And Teresa's experience is common among trafficked victims. The February 13th, 2015 issue of Newsweek published a cover article on sex trafficking on the agricultural farm by telling a girl named Janet's story who was forced into the city-to-farm sex pipeline. According to Newsweek, the traffickers often choose Queens, New York, for its central location along the Eastern Corridor, and send women to farms ranging near and far from Vermont to Florida. Officials don't know how many women are trapped in this city-to-farm sex pipeline, but they say the number is growing every year. According to the Polaris Project, in street-based sex trafficking, a victim's quota can range anywhere from $500 to $1,000 in one night. But they get to keep nothing. A girl can be forced to see anywhere from 20 to 48 men in one night. In 2013, the National Human Trafficking Resource Center hotline received 3,609 sex trafficking cases in the U.S. In 2013, the largest human trafficking bust in United States history took place. Operation Cross Country swept across 76 different American cities. This accused and arrested 150 men for sex trafficking and freed 105 children, ranging from ages 9 to 17 years old. Rebecca McDonald, founder of Women at Risk, said, "You sell 100 pounds of drugs, there are results and consequences if you get caught. But you sell an 100-pound child over and over and over again, and there are very few consequences." McDonald makes a very important point that the more of a bubble you create around your child, the less he or she knows about what's coming. It's a parent's role to teach his or her child about the risks and the dangers of the world that we've grown up in. But can you identify these risks and dangers? Would you notice someone who's been enslaved? Signs such as poor physical health, abnormal behavior like avoiding eye contact, someone who seems constantly fearful or anxious, or is working especially long or unusual hours. Dottie Gruber Skipper, founder of Heart Dance Foundation, informed the police about her suspicions regarding 2 sisters. One 13 years old, the other just 4 years old. After investigating the situation, the police came back to inform her that those 2 girls were living with their grandma, and their grandma was selling them at night for drugs. The 4-year-old already had gonorrhea. She doesn't know how to read yet. She doesn't know how to write yet. And instead of going and playing with friends in the afternoon, she's being sold for sex. For more information about identifying victims such as these, visit the Polaris Project website. And if by chance you see these signs, if you suspect an individual is suffering like this, the best thing to do is call the hotline and leave an anonymous tip. Or even dial 911 if you feel that someone is in immediate danger. Another organization that serves women who have been forced into sex trafficking is Vista Maria. Vista Maria has treatment programs, provides housing, and even offers guidance to reacclimate women. The U.S. government sees sex trafficking as such a prominent problem. They introduced the Justice for Victims of Human Trafficking Act January 2015. This bill will increase punishments for anyone accused of human smuggling, slavery, or sexual exploitation of children. Fines imposed on traffickers will be used to create a fund to help the victims of human trafficking. The 2 girls sold by their grandma into slavery, Janet's experience in the city-to-farm sex pipeline, and Teresa's story makes this real and significant and scary. The It could have just as easily been me or one of my friends. Same kind of neighborhood, same kind of school. But their survival and strength should give us strength. It empowers me. It should inspire all of us to be more aware about sex trafficking. I came here to make a difference, to share this responsibility with you so that we can all be aware. Because it's never too early to understand, to be aware, to know that you can make a difference. And for those 23 people who were taken into trafficking since I began, hopefully, with awareness, they will be safe.